Alright, so we're going to keep playing a bit more EU5 here. We did start last night with Denmark for the second time under the Ironman setup, and we're just going to continue where we left off with that. Now, the first time we attempted this, I think when things went very badly the first time, as in we lost everything and literally lost the game. But this second attempt has been going quite a bit better so far. Though the struggle is mainly to do with the income, which is rather lacking for us. That's just simply because of the start of how the scenario is set up as Denmark. But our current goals are to finish a casus belli down south here and invade Holstein, turn them into a tributary. And I want to keep pushing south, get more tributaries, and hopefully that can help us turn around the income. Though there's also, yes, a rebellion up here to the east, in Estonia. These are our, well, part of our dominion, so we're going to send some troops out there, I think, to just kind of capture this back. Okay, so let's change this. We don't need to be cracking down the rebels anymore, seeing as they have already risen up. Let's find something else useful for them to do. I'm wondering whether we want to keep pushing for cultural change, possibly in Flensburg and Husum and Schleswig. Might be a good idea. Let's see. So assimilate into our culture. We want Danish down here, right? Because there's quite a few who aren't of our kind of persuasion rats yet. So we're trying to change that a little bit for us. Alright, it looks like there's a lot of warring going on here. Let's get the diplomatic mode up here. Let's see, it's control and H. That's the one. So Brandenburg has joined us. They might actually take care of this for us, by the looks of it. These are the rebels of Estonia. Not too many as of yet. And it looks like Estonia, well, the Teutonic Order and Brandenburg are both creating some soldiers, so maybe we can wait for a moment to do it ourselves. But we have brought our fleet out of mothballing, so we can use them to transport the troops over eventually. But it's going to take a few months to just kind of get things, you know, get the sailors back in and ready for it. It's unfortunate we did have a fort up here, but we had to bring that down along with our castles in Denmark, just to try to turn around the negative income we had for such a long time. But our allies are at work, and I can see some more armies being shipped up there. Ideally, I would like to use my levies to attack Holstein rather than worrying about the rebels up here. So if our allies will actually take care of that for us, that would be fantastic, of course. We'll see how it goes. Okay, it seems that our legitimacy has dropped to below 30 once more. To keep it higher, just to avoid, you know, the negative modifier of, you know, this happening is pretty bad. Let's see, common is getting uppity. Our efforts to keep the commoners in their place has been somewhat too successful in recent times. So harsh is our rule, in fact, that the destitutes are becoming increasingly vocal in their complaints and are turning against their landlords, demanding better treatment and conditions. I think we'll push them down a little bit. They don't really give us much tax, particularly not compared to nobility. We are pushing towards serfdom at this point, as you can tell, so we'll do a bit more of that. Okay. Now I'm muting the mic every once in a while because I'm still recovering from the flu a little bit, so we'll have the occasional coughs, and I hope I catch all of them. If I don't, I do apologize. So they're being a bit aggressive here, but I think... let's see, who are these? Livonia should be able to take care of this, I think. They have enough men for it. If they just bring over this 1k army over, and then that should do it. Generating troubles. Our holdings in Estonia become but a thorn in our side, separating from our capital by vast seas. Our control here is fickle at best. Now, with a surprise attack launched by the native Estonian population, which spread to our neighbors in Livonia, perhaps it's better to try to mend our relations with our fellow neighbors and to sell off this poor province, which is already in the sphere of influence of Livonia. Let us talk to the decision makers in the Teutons. This seems to be like a historical event, and I might actually do this because, you know, we're not really getting anything from it. It's just been troublesome, if anything. And it's just going to dry up the court costs we have in any case. So let's also check, because I do like reading the historical little blurbs. So that's what's happening now, the St. George Night Uprising. Following the St. George Uprising in 1343, the Danish viceroy in Estonia and other government officials were imprisoned by pro-German vassals, and much of the province fell under the Teutonic control. The Danish king recognized his holdings as untenable, deciding to sell off Estonia to the knights for the price of 19,000 Cologne marks, which translates to 82.2 ducats, apparently. Yeah, let's do that. We will follow the historical path. So we're going to lose this region here, but you know, it's really for the best at this point. We get a bit of influx, and also we don't have to worry about, you know, that for now. Our interests are more like localized around Denmark, and I want to spread out around Denmark rather than, you know, far, far to the east, as is the case for Estonia. Let me just turn on the music a little bit for myself here. Let's try this instead. Slightly different vibe to it. Okay. We'll see what kind of volume this comes in at. Alright, Sale of Estonia. We have finally received a response to our generous offer of the rights over Estonia. To our rejoice, the Teutons have accepted the proposal, relieving us of our duty managing this land full of traitors. Works for us. Alright, so we got a little bit of gold here. So we can then refocus our efforts down to the war here around Holstein. Question is, do we want to do something with this gold, or do we want to kind of, you know, slowly watch it get withered away? I was kind of expecting court cost to drop a little bit. Inflation's getting kind of high as well. Can drop a bit of this diplomatic spending, I think. Okay. Yeah, let's pay off some of those loans and bring down the interest payments. I do find that the diplomatic diplomatic map mode is usually the best. Also in EU4, though it's much clearer here, particularly when using 2D maps, like I kind of prefer actually. It just makes it much easier to read the map. So you can clearly see your kind of allies, enemies, and what's going on, right? Hey, Pavlogis, how you doing? What up? Well, we are trying to not die as Denmark this time around. You saw the calamity of last time, right? I like to believe that the king was left to live in a nice little home by the sea, enjoying mead and, you know, Danish feast, whatever they may be, right? Do good. Czechoslovakia DLC came out for Horsewife 4. Oh, a brand new one? So you must be digging into that, I imagine. So that comes with, like, I guess, historical events and a new kind of national focus tree. Iron and treason. They are sick with the whispers of betrayal. A conspiracy has taken root within our court, aiming to unseat the rule of King Valdemar IV, Estridsen. Again, I say, courtiers whispers behind closed doors, and the very foundation of our kingdom is shake. We must act swiftly and decisively before treason turns bloody. If we do not mobilize our trustees, the conspirators will only grow bolder, striking when we're most vulnerable, causing prolonged instability. Let's find out who they are and crush them. See, complete rework with the divided nations mechanics allowing you to fix relations between Czechs and Slovaks. Oh, that sounds pretty cool, actually. How much was the DLC? It was like $20, $25, $30? They're kind of around that range, right? Oh, for U6? Oh, yeah, regional pricing, right? Yeah, I guess I have to pay more. Alright, so we're almost there. We are trying to get this Casus Belli through, and then we're going to attack Holstein. Ideally, turn them into tributaries so we can actually get a bit of gold from them. And then I'm going to keep chewing away at these little nations down south here. Is expanding as possible. But it is, in general, it is going better than last time. The nobles haven't revolted against us like they did in our first attempt at Denmark. And Sweden no longer sees us as a rival, so we can focus on Norway instead. And if we engage Norway, the Swedes won't be joining as, you know, like I said, we are no longer rivals. Let's see, it has 5 paths now. 2 democratic under Czechs and Slovaks, communist, facet, and monarchist. It looks like you have a lot of playthrough to get through there. That sounds like a lot of fun for you. Awesome. In time, many of our everyday occurrences in the life of King Valdemar IV Estridsen and his predecessors has become subject of ceremony. Being able to attend the bedroom of the king as he dresses, for instance, is considered by many to be the best way to gain his ear. Well, one would imagine, right? An elaborate court life will certainly limit the power of a nobility to plot against us in their countryside properties. But it could also prove to be quite expensive. Entirely denying the right to be part of the daily life of a king, on the other hand, would limit their influence. But the nobility would likely resent it. So what do we want to pick here? Minus 20 on the state satisfaction. They are, you know, around the equilibrium. Yeah, which is 50. But we need that tax right now. We really do need a tax. Let's see. Elaborate court life. Culture influence 20. That's good for us. Expected court cost goes up by 1%. Ah, not ideal. Let's see. It's currently at... Well, it's not too bad. We can take that on. I think we'll do that. Okay, let's do this. We'll keep the nobility happy for now. Let's see, for now I have to add like 30 streams into like 10 videos. Damn, that's a lot of work, Pavlokis. Good luck with that. I'm not quite that advanced yet. I tend to do, like I said, 2-hour stream kind of windows, and whenever I switch a game, I'll start a new stream. So that way I already have like a ready kind of VOD to upload if you choose to. But who knows, right? Maybe I'll get more advanced eventually. But I'm kind of new to this streaming thing anyways. Alright, a bit the diplomatic capacity increase. That's very good. Alright, we're almost there. Come on, just a little bit further, then we can invade. I think it was October last year. I did the first test stream. So I've kind of been like... well, you know how it is, right? There's a lot of testing back and forth with equipment setups, games, format of the streams. It's a learning process, but it's fun. I'm enjoying it. And, you know, the thing I probably enjoy the most is just sharing games with you people and, you know, chatting with chats like I'm doing with you now. Alright, here we go. Casus Belli coming through. Let's speed it up a little bit so it gets done. Okay, finally. Alright, so we have 2 diplomats. We can send 1 here for starting the war. Let's have a quick look at them again. And they are allied with the Holstein plan, but I think we should be fine. So we have 1,700 men here, and they have what? Alright, so looking at about 2,500 soldiers, and I think our capacity is quite a bit higher. Yeah, 10,000 potential levies, right? So we should be fine. Let's get the war started and force them into paying us. Let's see. Declare war. Right, so they do bring in Lubeck as well. Okay. We're still good though. 10,000 versus these men. We should be fine. We don't even need help from Brandenburg for this. Alright, so we should have destroyed the enemy. And this is the one we're going to go with. Let's declare war. Let's see, also been playing Half-Life 2, episodes 2, hoping to do the achievement to kill 333 Antillean grubs. Missed 4, oh no. Where are they hiding? In some shaft somewhere? A hidden elevator? That seems like a massive grind. Alright, let's get some soldiers up here, raise some levies, and that's the thing, right? There's no way to tell. Probably some sneaky developer hidden somewhere in the closet or something. Alright, let's get... this should be enough, although actually... It's better if we do it on the mainland so we don't need to transport them by boats. So let's undo this one. Alright, see how many can we get here. Okay, we'll do the mainland. There's recruit there, that's fine. And I think I'll make the king or somebody important maybe as a general. That will give us prestige as we go into war. So here comes one ship. And they're still at 29, so I'll keep them in the harbor for the time being. You can speed it up a little bit, I think. I think it's a lot of fun trying different nations, because you do have custom events, and I'm particularly fond of the historical events. And I like playing, or taking those choices as they come up. Alright, let's get everybody together. Start with that. Then we'll group them up and get ourselves a general. Let's get these Danish Vikings to the south, shall we? Dramatic currency reevaluation. That was hard for some reason. Concerned about spiraling inflation, our financial advisors have strongly advised us to abandon the old coinage and begin using a new, more stable currency. While beneficial in the long run, this would immediately cause severe unrest in our kingdom. Can we afford that? Along with revealing to our neighbors that we have disastrously mismanaged our economy. Well, it's not like we have much of a choice, really. But inflation is really high. We do need to bring it down. I didn't notice it going this high. I want to keep it around 10 or lower. Well, let's have a look. Minus 20 stab. Excuse me. Sheesh. We can't really afford the stability loss at this point going into war. So we're gonna have to get a bit more inflation going here and then actually drop this down and maybe take out a loan or two instead. Alright, so let's pause this and do it this way. So we'll drop 10% per month, or 0.10 rather. Okay, where are they going? Maybe we need to regroup a little bit further up north. Let's just choose strategic mode. Let's see. I think it's called strategic. It gives us like the defense modifiers. Maybe it's called something else. Alright, let's bring them up here instead. Check the terrain. Wetlands. So I'm wanting to avoid engaging them until we have the army joined together for obvious reasons. Okay, here we go. Group up. 5,000, plenty of men. Let's get a good general in there. We'll place the king in there. The only downside here is that we might lose him, and you know, he's the historical figure we've been playing with, which is really cool. But he is a fantastic leader, and historically as well, he did reunite Denmark and, you know, capture like these islands here as well, and this part of Sweden. So it's probably pretty neat to do it this way as well. Okay, when will he be arriving? He's traveling across the straits, of course. He's here in, I think it's Jutland, is it? As soon as he's there, there we go. Okay, now let's send the troops down and defend our castle here, the last one in Flensburg. Very important battles, but we do have the men, and hopefully we can finish this before they bring the reinforcements. Probably not, but we should be able to weaken them. Central line collapsing, left flank going down. Beautiful. Alright. They lost 1,500 versus our 400. Let's see if we need to recover a little bit. Another loan taken out. And we'll now head south for the next section here. Destroy this army here. Send those peasants running to the south. How dare they enter Denmark, this great, illustrious kingdom of ours. Yeah, I don't think there's some chance. We do have some cavalry as well. But of course, when we finally get professional armies, they'll make a huge difference. Well, let's send them south and start actually invading their lands. I don't think the Danes were nice people. I've actually come to know quite a few Danes, and all of them have been nice from my experience. But I guess the sample size isn't in the thousands, right? They were quite warring during this period, of course, since losing, you know, most of their land to the Hanseatic Legion from, you know, just bad finances and such. I suppose there was a bit of boiling blood in their veins, right, wanting to capture it back. Let's see. What do we want to do here? Increase infrastructure. We'll support the nobles here a little bit more. Let's see, don't ask Danes what they were doing to the natives of Greenland until 1960. I shan't. I shall keep that in mind. To keep things civil. Best not to uproot old wounds at times, I suppose. Okay, so we could probably split this one in two, and we'll put one of them to be just going around capturing areas. Let's see, how do this again? So this problem job between EU4 and EU5, you do get a little kind of confused sometimes. Let's have a look. Disband. We can do this detached siege, I suppose, but I'm actually wanting to split them in half. Where was it? Balance. That's just in general. Goodness, do you guys remember? Where was it? Which button it was to split the army in half? Create new units. Okay, here we go. I think I got it. Alright, so we'll send about half of them over. Looks pretty good. And we'll select this one. We'll see if we can find a new general. I did see a good one here. Hans of Lund. He actually joined us from the Swedish crown, so that's good. A traitor by any name, but very useful for us. Okay, and then we can select objectives. Let's see, should be a thing here. Carpet siege. I guess carpet siege will do it. And then we can just select all the different regions, and he'll just start kind of moving about. Alright, let's do that. And then we'll do like a bit more manual control on this other one. 38 in medieval times, and that's ancient. Surprisingly, apparently they did live much longer than we would expect in the Medieval Ages. To quite the ripe ages sometimes. I guess he's staying here since it's carpet sieging. Okay, so let's manually move this one then with the king. Now this one is small. We'll have to keep an eye out for larger armies in case things... you know, if it happened to bring up a larger army, so we don't lose the king. Because that would be pretty bad, wouldn't it? Oh, so here we go, like 1600. Okay, we happen to be quite lucky with this, actually. They come in where both the armies are. The incompetence of Olaf of Arthas, with our current Folketing debate focusing on the composition of our cabinet, the serious error committed by Olaf of Arthas has come to light. Over the course of his appointment, his skill seems to have degraded rapidly, and we might need to consider replacing him entirely. Look at that, -3 on all these skills. What's he been doing? Just debauchery and drinking and not doing his job? And we're paying him a good salary as well. How disappointing. Okay. So that went okay. Sounds like 75% of medieval nobles. Yes, I think that's probably the reality of it though, right? As long as you're close to the king, I think you're probably in a good shape, right? And like it came up earlier as a historical note that if you get to watch the king dress, you're in the inner circle. That's where you want to be. All right, we'll speed up a little bit. I think we can automate most of this now. We have destroyed his armies, or their armies rather. We'll just watch ourselves spread out and capture this. It's very nice, actually. They didn't have this at the very start of the game, and particularly when you're dealing with large areas of land, it's very good to be able to do this. You could put like one army to hunt other armies, and these, you know, smaller ones to actually, yeah, to kind of capture land, so you don't have to micromanage quite as much, which is very, very nice, I think. Welcome stream, by the way. So we're doing, this is our second second attempt at Ironman at Denmark. First time went quite badly. The nobles up north rebelled against us as we were trying to prepare for war against Sweden. And the troops that was meaning to send in to die on the Swedish frozen plains, they ended up fighting us instead, and we lost our kingdom. We're doing things slightly differently this time. Alright, so we're seeing a larger armies here, so let's send our main army with the king to the east here. I might even want to get a few more levies, actually. Okay, so we got some here. Let's pull these back here, if we can. Let's try to pull them out. Looks like they'll just be fleeing. Alright, so let's bring all these together here instead, including the king. So we'll have a pretty nice big army to deal with them. And I think I'll manually just move through here for the time being. Okay, so he's heading here. Let's stop on the way. Where's he going? Shrevin? Okay, I want to make sure he doesn't make it all the way to the west, because we do have some smaller armies here, but, you know, we want to deal with him with the main army of the king, as we're doing right now. Very good. Okay, so then we can head to the east again with the king this time. Join the army of 900 men here, and that should be it, I think. So our conquest is looking quite good for the time being. Looks like we have a 100% war score, so maybe we can peace out and force them into tributary status as we're hoping to. So let's have a look at it. Enforce demands. I guess we can just capture it. It's not the worst to bring them into Denmark. Lübeck is outside though, and have been rivaled by, you know, Holsten. So we'll have to try to capture Lübeck later on, I think. Okay, let's force it through here. We're still waiting for the tributary technology, I believe. That's why we can't do it yet. So we'll have to do it this way, the old-fashioned way. Alright, so we'll grab these, and I think we'll just try to sell them back. This looks pretty good to me. Send a demand. So we gain these provinces. Very, very good. Slow that down a little bit here. Achievements. Victorious at a war and something else. Didn't quite catch the second one. So 2 achievements gained from this. Alright, so I'm going to look at these here and see if I can't sell them. I'm not interested in actually owning them. I just want to get the money for it. So, it's probably a diplomatic action. I can't quite remember exactly how you do it, but I've done it before. Actions, let's have a look. Economic, maybe. Sell locations. Here we go. And for some reason I can't sell these. Maybe we need to wait a little bit after the war. Alright, but let's drop the levies. We don't want them hanging about. It's unnecessary expense, and we don't have a lot of money yet, so let's get rid of those then. Yeah, levies, here we go, and disband all, yes please. And we can also drop any kind of spending we have. We actually had army maintenance at 0, I missed that one. Usually when you go to war, you do want to bump this all the way up. But I'm keeping here at the minimum, just to keep down the cost for the time being. Alright, so. Looking good. That should get us a bit of prestige and legitimacy, possibly. Now, what's costing us so much still? Court cost. And which buildings? Alright, so individually, you know, we don't have any kind of large outliers that are costing much. So I actually shut down quite a few of the buildings we had, because they were costing us a lot of money. Alright, let's try this again. While we have a, you know, diplomat, let's try selling these lands. I want to get rid of this one and this one here. So locations, why is it grayed out? Would be nice to see, you know, that would get a reason for it. Okay. Well. Alright, so control... Oh, it's actually very high here for some reason. I'm surprised by that. Alright, we can speed up a little bit more again. Let's have a look at these things here. Underage air, he's still only 5. Some starving provinces. These new ones, I mean, it's as a result of war, clearly. Close to being target of international organization. That's quite a few of them. Let's hope that doesn't come to fruition, shall we? Alright, so we can start integrating some of these provinces now. We don't need to be appeasing the nobles anymore. Let's have a look, actually. Is the music loud for you guys? It is kind of loud, isn't it? Let's bring it down a little bit. Okay. We'll switch to a bit of Celtic music during this kind of non-war time period. Alright, so back to the game. Alright, so I think we're gonna switch it up just a little bit here then, right? Yeah, so it's this one we want to change out. He's appeasing the estate, and instead we want to integrate. There we go. And I think... I mean, we're doing culture assimilation here, but let's have a quick look at if there's any other integration we need to do. Like this province, maybe. It's more important for general control to have integration. We'll move back to changing the culture afterwards, I believe. Okay, so let's try and get the legitimacy above 30 again. So we're getting a bit of coalition joinage against us here. Okay, I think these are all the regions that kind of aren't too keen on us after this war, but that means they're going to be targets. There'll be something we'll aim for capturing in that case. Let's bring down the diplomatic spending if we can. There is none to be decreased. Okay. We'll speed up a little bit. Should probably keep an eye on this coalition. Let's see. Right, and I think if you do, let's do Control 3, it should give us Control 2 actually. Maybe just one. It's the main thing, right? The main thing to keep eye on. Alright, so lots of members joining in. The main thing we're looking for is that they're weaker than us, but it is changing. It is changing. So we'll need to appease some of these nations or get strong allies ourselves. Let's see if we can. Let's have a look at here. We do have a bit of diplomatic access and power, so we might want to use that. Check that out. Relations. Okay, so we have an alliance with Brandenburg. What's their opinion? Right, actually, I'm gonna improve the opinion. I do want to keep them as good allies, just boost that up a little bit. Now, I think I'd like to get the Teutonic Order as an ally as well, because we did trade them some land, and we're in that, you know, if you can sandwich these regions between Brandenburg, Teutonic Order, and myself, be very, very good. Right, so we'll need to get some more diplomats for that. Let's see, Chancellor reports, Folketing agrees. Folketing have decided to pass support a noble cabinet. Alright, so he actually gains a bit of that again back. That's very good. Yeah, they're becoming rather powerful here. Not loving it. Wow. Look at that, they're all joining in. Oh, okay. Let's see. Can we bring down the antagonism somehow? We look at diplomatic relations. Actually, let's see if we can get some money. We've been working on bidding up some, what's it called? Favors, right? So maybe we can actually get some of that. We will need the diplomat, of course, for it, so we'll have to wait in any case. Right, but we're getting a lot of rivals. You see all these kind of, you know, dark gray ones. They're all just piling up against us. It's a little bit to slow this music, I think. Okay, so the inflation, that's slowly getting under control again. And that's going to be playing into, of course, our kind of general income here as well. And general expense of everything, right? So everything is like 20% more expensive now. Demand unlawful territory from Upper Bavaria. They used to be our allies. Are they not still? What actually will this do? Upper the Bavaria has abandoned us to return unlawful territory to its original owner. Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to. I've been trying to sell it back to them. Okay, we'll just give it back then. Keep them happy. Maybe they'll drop the antagonism as well by, you know, giving back these areas. Just, you know, I want to sell them back. I want a bit of ducats. I need the money. That's like half the reason, you know, one of the main reasons we're doing these expansions. Okay, it's one more month and I'll try again to sell these regions. Waiting for the diplomat to come through here. There we go. Okay. Danish building windmills. That seems historically accurate. Very good. Alright, so let's try this again. Belongs to Kingdom of Denmark, which is us, basically. Actions and sell location. I have no idea why it's not letting me do that. This is what's confounding me, right? Do we need like maybe a region next to us, or we select, or we need to select the country to trade to first? Okay. Yeah, okay, I'm just being a noob. Never you mind. So what is he willing to pay? 5, 4? Seems hardly worth it. 6 ducats. That's not a lot. Alright, but it will sell it back to the original owner, so that should appease him a little bit as well. 6 ducats is better than no ducats, that's what I say. That's it. Little money is better than no money. That's 100% true. And particularly when you have little money, or when you have no money, a little money is even more valuable. Both in real life and in-game. So, for sure. I'll take those 2 cats. Italian engineer available. Let's see, a siege engineer from the north of Italy has arrived at our court. That's good. Offering his services. He claims to be well versed in the art of building the formidable Italian bastion forts. Not that we can afford one, but it would be nice. The traits Italian, which our military theorists have been desperate to emulate. However, his services will not come cheaply. Oh no. I think we simply can't afford him. Yeah, we'll go with this option, right? How do you even pronounce this? Trase l'Italien. Lose prestige. Send him on his way. Oh, to have a bit of ducats to spend. Vultures all circling. Again, we need to push this up a couple of more months. Well, 4 more months, and we can drop this expense. Be back over 30. Okay, let's boost the time almost all the way up. Breaking relations. Brandenburg is breaking the relationship. Oh, this is not good. This is very, very bad for us. We need him really bad against this coalition that's building up. It now includes Bohemia as well. Is that right? Kingdom of Bohemia. Because they're strong. We are much weaker than just Bohemia. So they're seeing the blood in the water. They're wanting to get in on it. Okay, so we'll stop trying to improve the relationship with Brandenburg then, if they're going to be acting like this. So yeah, I was lately talking with my friend about his payment in pizzeria, and started talking about average local corner store network called Sapka. Let's call it Froggy. And I was stunned hearing how much they pay their workers. I mean, it's all relative though, right? Minimal pay in Poland is currently about 5,000 Polish, yeah, about 5,120. These mofos. Yeah, the thing is, so like, you have to look at from, okay, as for, mobility, yes, I fully understand and I concur with you that, like, the wages you're probably earning in Poland are not going to be very helpful for you if you want to actually get out of Poland or, like, deal with international commerce and those sort of things. So, yeah, 100% with you there. It sucks, it's not fair, and, that's the way the world is, I suppose, right? But as for if somebody lives in Italy, right, they will be earning more money for sure. At the same time, they're also paying much more for everything, like rents, food, utilities. So I found that in most cases, except for a few anomalies, it does balance out, right? So if you live in somewhere like the UK or like even the US, so they do have like higher spikes in extreme salaries. There's a balance that comes on the other side, like, like housing, extremely expensive in the UK, and particularly heating and those sort of things. So most people don't really have that much money in the end, even though their salaries compared to maybe what you're looking at may look astronomical, right? But for the people living in England, they are struggling, a lot of them, just as much as people in countries where the average income is lower, right? The main problem comes with when people from richer economies move or bring their economy into lower stratosphere income ones. Like, I know a lot of people from the US have been moving to Portugal, and they've been driving up the rent in Lisbon, for example, driving out the locals. Same thing in Mexico City. That's when I start having a bit of a problem with it. But that aside, right, economies in general tend to balance out, like in a local way, right? But yeah, I know what you mean. I look at some numbers which I see in some other countries and I go like, damn, that would be nice. All right, can we survive a little bit longer here? I will say, like, Denmark is proving to be a very difficult country to play. I mean, compared to all the other ones I've done so far, it's just like you really start on a bad back foot, and it's extremely hard to crawl your way back into, proper income. Let's see, I mean, they get paid in Froggy more than my friend at the pizzeria working the same hours. Yeah, that's the same, right? So, like, somebody working in a pizzeria in, like, Italy is going to get paid more, like, in, you know, Polish currency, like, if you're converting it directly, compared to somebody working in Poland at a pizzeria. But the person living in Italy is also, he's needing a higher income because he's having to pay for, like, more higher expenses for the same things, you know, you do, like, in Poland. So, like I said, economies tend to be, like, within their own economy, they tend to balance out, right? That's all relative. That's just what I'm saying. But of course, if he works in, you know, in Italy for a while, makes money there, and then comes back to Poland with that money, yeah, for sure, he's gonna get like a foot up on everybody in the economy in Poland. So, yeah, so I don't know, man. It's a bit shitty, you know. I totally agree with you, and you know, I wish it wasn't like normalized everywhere, but it's just the world we live in, right? But while you're living in the particular economy, you may not necessarily be you may not necessarily have a lower standard of living to somebody living in another one. Because it all kind of normalizes. Okay, we're bankrupt. Oh no. Our reckless fiscal policies have finally caught up with us. There's no more credit to be had, and we can no longer meet our fiscal obligations. Some buildings have been sold, and we have lost control over our country. Man, how are we going to pull this off in Denmark? How can you dig yourself out of this hole when you start with like minus 500 in debt? I mean, it's wiped now because we've just gone bankrupt, right? But we start with minus 500. We start with, you know, this negative in economy. I destroyed all the castles and forts. I closed like 15 or 20 buildings because they were being run at loss. And we don't have any money coming in. So the only money we can get is to, you know, dry up the inflation high, which we did for a while. Even then, it's not like high amounts of money. We're looking at maybe 5-10 ducats per month if we're lucky. Normally more like 1 to 3. And if I was wanting to build any structures to kind of get more income, they're going to come in at least 50 ducats, right? So maybe one structure every half year, right? And that means more loans being taken out, which increases the loan repayments. But I don't know, maybe we need to go bankrupt here to be able to turn things around. But we'll see how disastrous this turns out to be. Power minus 90% means no tax income, basically. State satisfaction minus 2, morale in army and navy is going down. No construction speed. Well, that's fine. We're not able to construct anything anyways. Is this divine punishment? No, it's the economy. Oh, man. Okay, well, let's look at it as an opportunity. Alright, so at least it's gone up above 30 now. Let's bring it down as far as we can. We need to keep it at 0 at least. Alright, so that's the minimum we can spend, unless we want to go into the risk of losing the crown to a coup. Oh, maybe because of the crown power effect. Now we need to have it above 68. Oh, this is rough. Yeah, it might be that Denmark sings again for the second attempt. It's a tough one. Next, I think next time I'll pick easier country. just to have a bit more fun and expand and not deal with the economy so much to begin with. Okay, but let me have a look. Is this something we can actually do here? Do we have any options? Because, you know, they've broken the alliance. We can't do anything about that. 100-year war, not affecting us directly. Coup possible. True Chads learn on hard countries. I am a Chad. I am a true Chad. How dare you question my Chadness? It's my second attempt on Ironman mode, no more, no less, right? So you can't even save. But yes, I'm just wondering, is there any way to actually do this effectively? Because normally what you do is you start by maybe building up the RGOs in your country, and they'll give you more product to sell, which will push up the market income, you know, because market income is going to be a fraction of that produce which we get, which also related to crown power and market control, which needs, you know, then you need market structure to get more control in the market. It all requires money, basically. So basically, when that starts kind of rolling forward, you can start building structures with build on top of the raw kind of materials to create higher value goods. But that also requires money to be able to build those structures. So I'm trying to think if there's a way to do this, right? So, I mean, on this second attempt, I went all in basically on kind of dropping the expense. And I think we did as good as we could, really, with that. So I'm left questioning what else could we do. So the only other option would be like the third approach. Take a bunch of loans in the early start and, you know, just use that money and try to build a few structures and hope that it's going to be enough to outpace the increased kind of bank kind of loan expenditures, right? You could push a bit of minting for a little bit in the beginning, but it's a rough ride either way, and there's no guarantee it's going to work. Because you have to think as well, is not just creating the product like the RGOs. Not to mention that we don't actually have any high value RGOs. As Denmark, you know, we have fish. Salt is the best one, really. And I actually created another salt structure here. That's all we could afford, but it didn't really make much of a difference. So you not only need to increase the RGO, but building more RGOs and investing in those techs, you also need to move them to the market, and that costs funds. So that eats into the income from that particular RGO. So it hits the market, you pay for transport, and then as a reflection of that market, you'll get back a fraction of that actual income. So you need much more production locally to actually get, you know, the ball rolling properly, right? Because you only get like, I don't know, 10 to 20% off each production unit, right? And that's also like, you know, taxation and these sort of things, which depend on crown power, yada yada. So it's a complex sort of puzzle, but I'm not sure there's a good way out of it. And even now, so we're bankrupt, right? We are bankrupt, the loans been wiped out, where we already having to take new loans to just cover the expense. And, you know, the remaining buildings are, I think, mainly markets, and we need those to actually get any income from the markets. Otherwise, other nations will come in and they'll simply take, you know, the produce we're hoping to buy or trade, right? Because you put something on the market, it's not guaranteed, it's expected or projected income. So let's say, here for example, let's have a look at Lund. Let's say I want to buy a piece of fruit. Or rather, yeah, I want to buy a horse. I put in a order for a horse. So the expense goes in. We pay for that merchant, and that trade capacity gets kind of sectioned off for that particular month. At the end of the month, depending on your trade advantage, ours, you know, it's fairly good for Lund because it's right next to us, but still Scania has more control, right? If Scania, in this case, wanted to buy that horse, and there's only one horse in the market, he would get that horse and we would lose out money. We still have to pay for the attempt at trading, right? But we would actually lose money while making no income. So it's a pure negative, like a minus on that trade. Same thing goes like, you know, if you have more horses, we need more horses in the market. Say there's 3 horses on the market. You know, these of course arbitrary numbers, right? Scania wants 2, and I want 1. Then it works out perfectly. Scania takes the first 2 because he has a trade advantage, and we get the last one. However, let's say we put in order for 3 horses. There's 3 horses in the market. Scania wants 2. He takes the first 2. We get one of the horses, but we also pay the trade costs or attempted trade for those other 2 horses, and we lose the trade capacity of 2, which could have been invested somewhere else. So there's a lot of expenses involved in trading, and we need to get like market control. We need structures to try to compete, and again, for that we need money, lots and lots of money, which we don't have. So yeah, I'm slightly at a loss, to be honest. I'm not entirely sure how to turn this around. Of course, in Horse and of Iron, this would be very different. More a case of invading, right? Okay, but let's make something happen. Let's make some choices. Let's have some choices down here. What can we do? I don't think getting up to like 60 or 70 in legitimacy is going to be an option for us. So we'll drop down court. We'll tank the legitimacy and try to get a bit of more money back here. Minimize everything. There's no spending going out. It's just expense in general, like minimal expense. Alright, so we have fort maintenance now because we got one new fort down here, I think. Here in Flensburg, which proved to be quite useful, but we're gonna have to, you know, destroy that, like all the other castles we've had so far. Let's shed a single silent tear for that. I do like my castles, but we can't keep our goods. You know, this is why we can't have nice things. Alright, so what else is it? So buildings. Alright, so now we got rid of that at least. Also, our trade be like, I know we hate each other to death, but for 8 steel you can get my 117 factory that you can use to speed up your construction by 1 month. Yeah, exactly. It's a very different economy, isn't it? Here you have more of a Keynesian economy, as in it's just simply organic for most parts. Though you influence it by like getting control of the market to some extent with your market buildings, which you construct both in your own country and like around and in the particular market. Yeah, so the whole thing is a lot more complex. I mean, I do enjoy it, right? Because, you know, I study economics and math and university. So that's what my degree is in. So I really enjoy this whole kind of micro and macroeconomic sort of contemplation. But, you know, you still need something to work with, right? If you don't have anything to work with, you can't make anything happen. So money makes money. That's the way the world works. You're studying accounting. Oh, brilliant. Yeah. Yeah, so we're in a similar sort of way of thinking, I suppose. Yeah. I don't know, what can I do here? What can I do? Suggestions, besides nuking a country, which is not an option in 1346 in EU5. Yeah, because we still have some interest which we're paying. That's off the loans. Can't be avoided currently. Navy maintenance. I mean, we could destroy our navy. You know, we could just sink our 2 transports. It's not like we're going anywhere right away. Like desperate times, desperate measures. Let's see, I would either end up at corporate or end up with cement shoes on the bottom of the river. That's a bleak one. Though, like, you know, working at a big corpo can be enjoyable if it's a good one. And I tried both. I generally prefer smaller groups. You feel like your contribution means more and is more valuable. Whereas, like, if you're at the corpo, you know, you're just one cog in a machine. But, you know, some people prefer that. That's perfectly valid. And to be fair, you know, you usually make more money that way as well. Because the closer you are to wealth, the easier it is to gain wealth yourself. And large corporations tend to have millions, if not billions, to play with, whereas smaller companies are, well, medium-sized companies are okay usually with that, but smaller ones is often a shoestring sort of operation, and they simply don't have the money to pay you properly, right? So it may not be worth your time. But it's all down to preference, isn't it, in the end? And as for life, it never really takes you respect. That's been my experience. You make all these grand plans and ideas, and life just kind of leads you, maybe somewhat in that direction, but often it'll throw either curveballs at you, or you'll get opportunity you didn't expect. And yeah, it's important to keep an eye out for those and be ready for those opportunities when they arrive. Yeah. Anyways, let's see. So what else can we drop in expense? So let's destroy our ships. Navy maintenance. Our 2 beautiful Danish ships. Our only 2 ships. Oh, how I shall miss you. How do we destroy ships? I don't think I've ever done that before. Disband units. Oh, I'm so sad now. Soon we can't even afford Danish ale at this phase. Me at a small group. Well, us. Why limit ourselves with teddy bears if we could make big bucks establishing weapons trafficking organization funds in Africa? Yeah, that makes sense to me, There was like a whole movie about that with Nicolas Cage, where he's flying to Africa and just trading weapons. Pretty good one, actually. Can't remember what it's called though, but you could probably look it up with ChatGPT. Just prompt it with the actor's name and the concept of the movie. Okay, let's have a look again. Yeah, Lord of War, that's a really good one. Another one that's really fun in a similar sort of vein of like illegal activities. This one's more recent though. It was with Tom Cruise. I think it's about 5 years old or maybe 10 years old at this point in time. So he starts, he's like a pilot in the States, and he starts shipping drugs, like with a small little plane from, I think Cuba or something. Not Cuba, from maybe Venezuela, one of those countries, right? And things just kind of, just grow. He just starts getting more and more money and doesn't know what to do with it. And it's kind of like almost a comedy mixed in with excitement, right? Because it's like an action comedy sort of thing. It's a good movie. I'll check it out if you like that sort of stuff. Again, no idea what it's called, but it's easy to find. Tom Cruise plays pilots and trades drugs from South America to the US. That should do it. Yeah, but Lord of War was really cool. Okay, let's look at what else. Look at that. That's all our expense now. Base buildings, just for Denmark to remain as Denmark in interest. That's all. We're still losing money. Nobility tax is none currently. That surprises me. It may be related to like our bankruptcy, right? Because we're kind of relying on them. They bring in about 2 to 4 ducats. I guess all of this drops down as well, right? Let's see. I know Tom Cruise only from Mission Impossible series and history-based movies like a Valkyrie, The Last Samurai. I've seen neither of the last 2. I may have seen Valkyrie, but I'm not sure I've seen it. I did watch the one where he there's like this time loop going on though. That one was really cool. So there, it's a lot of warring there, and there's these kind of space alien robot things that are attacking Earth, and he relives the day over and over again. So whenever he dies, he's reborn on the same day. And has to try to play things differently. Now, I normally don't like these sort of movies that kind of do Groundhog Day, but that was made in such a way that's actually entertaining. Let me have a look, actually. Excuse me. What are the names of the movies by Tom Cruise? Where he is a pilot and flies drugs from South America, and secondly the one where he relives where he spawns where he relives a day each time he is killed in action. Now let's see what ChatGPT gives me. It should hopefully give me the names of both. So yeah, I find AI very good for looking up movie names. So that's one thing it's good for. Oh yeah, so the first one, the drug running movie, that's called American Made in 2017. So this one here. And the second one, Edge of Tomorrow from 2014. Yeah, both excellent movies by Tom Cruise. Let's see, Valkyrie is the one with the German officers attempting... There goes the cough again. On Adolf's life in 1944. Yeah, okay, that's probably why I skipped it. I'm kind of... You know... I've seen so many documentaries and stuff around that period. I'm kind of a little bit bored of the Second World War, to be honest. Last Samurai is the End of the Samurai. Yeah, that one I'm more aware of. But that's a slightly older movie, right? But it's kind of, yeah, could be a good one to check out. Alright, so what else can we do? What can we possibly do to turn the economy around? So we only have few buildings left. These are the market structures. And in terms of loans, that's all we can do. And, you know, is there any way to turn this around, really? And we can force up the tax a little bit, make them a little bit more unhappy. So the automation will set it at 50%. That's like the goal. So we'll push down the happiness of the estates a little bit if we can. Now we've lost the nobility entirely, I think, temporarily at least. So I just don't see a way out of this, to be honest. It's just a really tough country to do well. Like I said, the only other strategy I can possibly foresee this working would be to take on a bunch of loans in the beginning of the game and just stop pumping up RGOs and hoping that the increased surplus of production will actually, you know, bring us more money than it's going to cost us in interest rates on loans. But I doubt that will actually be the reality of it. Because like I said, there's more expensive than just creating the thing. You need to actually get it to the market, pay taxes of it, transportation costs, all these sort of things. Yeah, well, spirit life. We need that stability right now. All right, let's get another guy in here. Oh, 80, that's going to be good for integrating. Let's see, my problem with the last samurai is that it's the average made fantasy showing samurais are honorable people using only swords and bows against new area army with rifles. When in reality the whole rebellion looked like, well, something else entirely, right? You might enjoy a series called Shogun, which I checked out recently. I think it gets more realistic kind of portrayal of, you know, the shogunates. It's like when the Portuguese came there and we have like an English sailor coming there and pretty much, you know, showing them what the Portuguese are doing. And it's actually, it's a very good series. Very well made with high production values. Okay, demanding... Yeah, they can get that back. We're fine with that. Wait, what do you mean you're going to give guns to the peasants? How are we supposed to exploit them if they have rifles? Oh, you have it on a watch list, yes. Yeah, I think I've binged it over a couple of days. It's just so good. Okay, so let's see. Do we have any more states to integrate? Welcome stream, by the way. Denmark is falling apart for the second time, unfortunately. The main problem here is that we just start with such a weak economy, and I've found it very hard to turn around. We start with minus 500 ducats at the start of the game with a negative income, torn down all the forts, and minimized or closed a bunch of structures to minimize the expense on structures, but nothing would really do. Even high interest rates or kind of inflation here on the minting was enough to kind of turn things around. So we're kind of in a bit of a state with this sort of thing. That's where we're at. We just gone bankrupt, and we're just trying to see, is there any possible way to turn these things around? I'm not convinced, but I am trying, and I'm hoping there's some way out of it. Okay, so I distracted myself by talking. We were doing a thing with the cabinet member, right? I was wanting to check the integration. Integrate, yeah. No valid ones. Okay, so we're going to be changing the population then. Simply to population and to Danish. And let's focus on this one here, which is a bit closer to us. Yeah. Now, if either of you have any brilliant suggestions of how to do this, which I'm for some reason missing, then by all means, do let me know. But historical events have really led us down this path to a great extent. Bribes growing more accepted. What is the difference between an honest man and a fool? The fool does not know that he's being swindled. This is an increasingly common saying in Denmark, the spirit of which is being proven through a more sinister change in the social fabric. Bribes are beginning to be seen as a natural consequence of the market, where every transaction carries a price. Those who refuse to take a bribe are viewed as fools, as the saying suggests, or worse. The consequence of this cynicism is that any form of power corrupts, and no one who believes likewise is immune, not even the king. It's just a saying. We don't need legitimacy. It has no effect, right? Right? It's not like we need 60 currently to not have a possible coup against us. Executed nobles, I don't think it's going to help. You know, they are the ones that actually normally give us the most tax, but currently we're not getting anything. It's because of the expense. They're buying too many furs. They're being too comfortable. And we can't supply the furs due to lack of funds. Alright, let's speed it up. I don't think there's much else we can do. We are kind of at our wits' end with this economy here. Moldovians. We don't need to be concerning ourselves with Moldovians. We have enough problems at home. Yeah, they're breaking the alliance. Let's see if we can ask some money. How much can we get? 15? We'll take anything at this point. Alright, it'll delay the inevitable, if anything. Yeah, I may consider this might be lost cause again. Not entirely sure how to do this with Denmark. Not seeing like a clear strategy forward from the very start, as I'm saying, to turn this ship around. Have you tried creating ridiculous tax that makes completely no sense but would bring tons of money? That's the problem though, we can't. We are limited, so you see the tax bar here is limited both by political policies and the happiness of the estate. So the happier they are, the higher we can usually push it. But currently they are kind of unhappy and they're paying less tax, and we simply can't, unfortunately. And even minting is a stopgap measure, which brings it a little bit, but you know, it brought us to 20% inflation, which is making everything more expensive, including the court. All right, Black Death in Mollybury. There's the Mollybury. Zoom out a little bit. Oh, sorry, we don't even know about. So we don't concern ourselves about such things. Unless it's on the Danish shores, we are fine. Nothing bad will happen. So they've broken the alliance. I was expecting that. That's been coming for a while. Akabara keeps pushing for this, our regions back. I'm not going to be giving back Steinberg. These we do want to keep. Decline the offer. Nobility demanding increased pension. Well, you're not paying any tax as it is. How dare you? So how very much dare you? They will have to be unhappy. So unless I see some money come from you, I won't be paying you any pensions. All right. Yeah, it's kind of looking like it's a dead end for us here. Unless there's some magnificent historical event that's going to pop around, I don't see how this can turn around. Oh, let's have a close look at the buildings. Dutch Mecklenburg has declared war. Okay. Well, at least we get a bit of action, right? So that's something. Yeah, so I was kind of want to have a look at the structures. Is anything... Naval supplies. I suppose we could close that down. We're not producing in the Navy right now. But it's just such a minuscule expense, right? It's not something that's going to turn things around for us. Alright, we'll have to do it the good old-fashioned way. Let's get all the markets. And then naval. Here, close all of them down. Alright, so that's the way to do that. Now, another fix would be to start creating ships. And that would kind of, give them a purpose. So they'll actually start making money again. But we don't have money to do that. So it's a bit of a chicken and a hen's, egg and a chicken sort of scenario, isn't it? Alright, but let's get an army up here. Let's go out, have a bit of warring, have a bit of fun. At least we can do that. That's the least we can do. We can have a bit of bloodshed to distract the population from our dire financial states. Alright, speed it up a little bit here. It's a lot of people coming in here. We might be done for. Currently 351, but we have all these nations which are going to be contributing eventually. Alright, let's, what do you guys say? Should we go out in a blazing war? Guess that's all we can do, right? We can't actually get units from here for now because we are lacking the ships. We sold them off, or destroy them to decrease expenditure, as you may recall. Let's meet up in Haderslev. New low now. You can see them amassing down here. Hopefully we'll have enough men, and if our king is willing, at the age of, well, still pretty young, 27, we'll put him in charge again. He was quite good in the last war. See them creeping up Denmark here. Blockade, that's fine. You need to bring troops. It's not enough to blockade. You need to actually bring troops to capture. Okay. I hope I didn't turn anything off there. Okay, so let's bring the king back in. 84. Excellent general. Military tactics as well. This one's good. Let's get some war music going, shall we? Let's see. How about something like Viking war music? That might do the trick. Okay. Alright, so we want to get the supply up. Or, yeah, the morale. Let's make sure they're balanced as well. Okay, off we go. And south we have, oh goodness, they have already much larger armies. Yeah, this is going to be lost, ladies and gentlemen. There's no way out of this one, but we will go out fighting all the same. We shall meet them in the fields. We shall bleed, make them bleed for every inch of land. It's gonna be short war. I'm hoping our, the king and his experience is not anymore. No, we just lost Brandenburg, and Upper Bavaria stopped being our ally like 20 years ago, I think. Yeah, look at that. This is a coalition. They're all kind of coming against us now, and Bohemia is already much stronger than us, just as a singular country, right? So there's just no way out of this. We will fight though. We will try to take as many of them with us as we can. Right, we'll rest up in Aalborg for a little bit and then we'll head back south again. Do you have a few more we can raise? Raise all, but they're just going to be on the islands, right? So we can't even get them off the islands. That's the main thing, right? I know that in EU games, if you take too much stuff in the peace deal, there's a coalition form. Yeah, that's what happened. It wasn't that much though. I just took these 2 regions here, and that was enough for all of these little weasels to join up in a coalition against us. And then finally, like, you got Poland, you got you know, Brandenburg, and you know, all these things, right? And I think maybe the coalition like was the reason why Brandenburg decided not to ally in this war. They saw the end coming and didn't want to be part of it. All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's do this thing. Is there anything we can fight? We'll try this army, it's slightly smaller. Though they will be getting reinforced, no doubts, by the time we arrive. Let's go Grinstead. It's a good spot to defend, because it's all flat land. There's not really any defensive positions. To be fair, all these small German states are part of the Holy Roman Empire. Yeah, that's the thing though, isn't it? I think we're supposed to be part of that too, or at least pretty close to being that. Yeah, look at this. We're not loved all that much currently. Yeah, so there's no defensive positions. Like this gives us like the fortifications and such. There's also strategic mode. Where is that? I usually kept it here somewhere. That will actually give show you the modifiers like on the different tiles, right? Okay, let's check this out. Maybe it's here. Military access, tactical. It's this one. Yeah, it's the rook. All right, so here you can see like the difference, right? So this location gives a penalty of 1 to the attacker. I do believe these are swamplands, so maybe if we become little Danish swamp monsters, we can, you know, hole up in there and take the fight there and use that to our advantage. But that's everything, right? And now that we had to, you know, tear all the forts down, none of them actually, you know, we don't have any defense, right? But look at these numbers. We have 4,700. So when you're playing Hearts of Iron 4 and you're faced with these sort of situations, what do you do? Do you go way out in a blaze of glory, or do you surrender and start a new game? Okay, so we're gonna pile up here. There's no fortification or anything like that, I think. Come, join me in Silkbog. In the swampy forest. This is so bad. And even the troops we just tried to raise, they've been destroyed immediately, pretty much. Alright, here they come. They're gonna fight us in the swamp. Come at me, bro. Come at me. Feel the wrath of the swamp monsters. Let me drag you into the wet waters of Denmark. We lost. Well, at least we tried, right? We tried. That's it, there's nothing left. Yeah, so that's the thing, like, you do need some money to be able to actually do things right. So besides, like, that third approach, like I said, to actually Just take a bunch of loans to begin with and try to build some sort of infrastructure and hope that kind of carries you far enough ahead to be able to start playing them back. I don't see any other way around this, you know, to play Denmark. If there's literally no hope, I restart the whole game. But not before doing a risky move that has less than 50% chance to succeed. That's it, alright. You have to try at least. You have to give it your best shots. And I think I've done that. I've done everything I could possibly do to turn things around. But now, Denmark has fallen to the coalition. And we become a nominal power. From number 44 to around 2,000. Look at those vultures. From all these different countries. Look at these. It's not just like one army. We're talking like a stack of small armies from every single continent to the south. What also Info taught me is that dumbest strategy can be the best strategy. I think that's probably true. Because they won't be expecting it. Yeah, assumptions makes a fool of us all, and if they assume that you won't do something stupid, then you can play them for the fool and actually turn it into victory. But here we have lost the kingdom of Denmark fully this time to a coalition to the south. Such dire times, and we have the Black Death spreading throughout our lands. Good times had by all. Yeah, look at that. Oh, I have no idea when I'm muted. Hope it wasn't too long. But yes, we just lost now the war to Mecklenburg. We're left with a few lands, but I mean, honestly. Yeah, I don't think there's any recovering. It's more like hanging on by a shoestring. And we're still dealing with the same problems we had in the beginning. We still haven't gotten like a positive income. Of course, the court costs will drop down now because we have less terrain and less nobility to deal with. But, you know, it's not enough to turn things around. Alright, so I'm going to chalk this one up to a second loss as Denmark. This is rough. We gave it the old college try, as they say. But we came up short, unfortunately. It's a good try, though. Good try. So there's a third possible strategy we could try, but I don't know. Maybe I just want to try something else and use my time for something that's gonna be fun all the way through instead of fighting against the grain all the time. But who knows? You know, I'm a sucker for punishment at the same time, and I'm kind of curious to see if that strategy would actually work. Alright, But with that, I'm going to wrap up the stream here for the time being, take a little break, and might come back with something else in a little bit. Who knows. Need to rest the voice a little bit as well. Still recovering from that cold a little bit, so still coughing a bit, unfortunately. But it's much, much better than it was just a few days ago. So it's all happening. All right, but thanks for stopping by the stream. Paulo, it's nice to chat to you again, and good luck with your new DLC. Sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. So until next one, thanks for checking out the stream, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care.